All right, guys, so the Senna finally made it. And you know, this is kind of an apology letter. I know it's pretty weak, right? But I want you to hear this. It says, PJ, thank you for your business. Enjoy the Senna. Thank you for your patience with shipping. So what went wrong with the McLaren Senna, and why is it that I bought this car a month ago and told you it would be the last car here on the channel last year, but it didn't get here till like 3 weeks later? Here's the real truth about the disaster story of the Senna. All right, guys, welcome back to Exotic Car Hacks, and let's talk a little bit about buying my latest acquisition. You just saw the delivery of my McLaren Senna. It finally got here, and I'm now having finally an opportunity to talk to you right here at Exotic Car Hacks about what happened. So a lot of things went wrong with this car when I ended up buying it. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the car, and then in the next video, we'll unveil the car, talk a lot about some of the modifications we've done, and why it was so important for this car to get here so fast. So I decided all of a sudden at the end of the year to buy a McLaren Senna. Now I decided this as a Christmas present to myself. I would buy myself another $1 million car. The car had a 1.1 sticker. It was a really beautiful car. The entire interior is blue carbon. You'll see it unveiled in full in the next video. But basically I found the final Senna I was willing to buy, and it took me 3.5 weeks to negotiate this car with McLaren in Denver. Like, we went back and forth a couple of times. I was looking at a couple of cars, and I never make offers on cars unless I'm ready to pull the trigger. So come Wednesday, like the Wednesday before Christmas Eve, a couple of days before Christmas Eve's there, I basically say, listen, I'm finally ready to pull the trigger on this car. But listen, I've been in this business for like 20 years, right? I've been buying cars since I was like 19 years old. So I'm like 40 now, so it's been quite some time. The real argument here that a lot of people don't understand about buying cars is there is a real way to do it. Now, I teach this in detail at Exotic Car Hacks. You can click the link in the description. You can learn how to buy cars correctly. Like, there's a way to do it. There's a reason you get the right deals. There's a reason dealers negotiate. We teach all that in the course. That's not what this is about today. The dealer, Denver McLaren, gave me a fantastic deal on the car finally. And Brett, the sales guy there, has been trying to work with me for a while on Instagram. Really nice kid, very respectful, super nice kid. So we're getting through this. The problem, though, with dealers is, unfortunately, they sell less than like 12 hypercars a year. So this was probably, and I'm gonna be like very blunt and honest about this, a transaction above their mental or capacity pay grade. So I don't know that I would say that's probably the best dealer to go to if you're looking for $1 million plus car. Maybe they're used to selling a lot of 570Ss or 720Ss, because there's a certain requirement of service and conversation that goes into buying $1 million car that doesn't really work the same as buying a 150K car. As an example, which we're going to cover in detail why this went wrong, logistics are significantly different on $1 million car plus than they are on a basic crappy, you know, like 200K 720S or 300K 720 or whatever it is. The reason they're different is because, one, the insurance that the carriers must carry is significantly different, but also the width of the cars and the safety of the cars and the type of trailers are very different. Now, personally, this is my personal expectation. Maybe I was wrong. I've bought quite a bunch of hypercars over the last 10 years. And I can tell you that usually let's just use my last 2 Sennas as an example. My first Senna came from Dan I Am on Instagram, which was a person, but it was done through Pagani Beverly Hills. No issues, everything easy. Good conversation directly with the owner of the company, right? And my second Senna came from Long Island Sports Cars, which was a McLaren dealer, also bought brand new. That particular car, again, got a call from the CEO of Long Island Sports Cars, not only thanking me for the business, but letting me the logistics, that I received my wire, etc. Now, so I was very surprised when I sent a wire on basically, I told the guy that on Wednesday I was agreeing to the car and he would have money by Friday. I needed to move funds over to wire him. So I told him Friday morning I would go ahead and wire for the full car, right? And so I decided, I said, you know what, I'm gonna wire for the full car and I need you to put a CPO warranty on it. No issues, we were fine, the car's, you know, fantastic, everything looked good. I was willing to go ahead and move forward with the deal. But I made one specific request because I've been in this business for a long time. I said it's around Christmas time, and this car is about to travel from Colorado to Florida. And if you've been in the car business for a while, you know that around Christmas, basically the last trucks that are leaving are going to leave the West Coast to head to the East Coast, and they're basically done for the year, and they'll start business usually the first week after the first. So because they need to trail back and so on and so forth. So a lot of trucks basically leave the business right between Christmas and January 10th. So I knew one thing for sure. And because remember, we're talking about logistically limited like type trailers that can take Sennas because they're wider and they don't have windows. So long story short, basically, I wire this money on Friday exactly as I say I'm gonna do. Bright in the morning, I'm like, here's your money in full paid. Now, first off, I don't even get a confirmation until I text multiple times asking for one. Secondly, I never even got an acknowledgement from anybody, like from the GM of the dealership or someone saying, hey, you just wired me $1 million. Maybe I should get to know who you are. Doesn't matter, like that's a service thing, not my problem. But one thing that was really weird is I asked for 3 days, I said, set this specific shipment up because we're gonna miss a truck. Now, they told me on Friday that they were looking and that they had passed it on to their broker that was gonna do it. And that was the rookie mistake for both them and for me. First off, the biggest mistake I made in this transaction was actually ask them to include shipping. That was the biggest mistake. Never ask a dealer to include shipping, always handle that yourself through a company you rely on. Because what they do is they send it to a broker who tries to shop it for the cheapest rate possible and then to get it out. Unfortunately, $1 million car, $1 million insurance on Christmas Eve is probably not something you can shop around to the cheapest bidder, especially when there's probably 10 trucks in the United States that can pick up a car like that. So you look at that and you go, this is a recipe for a disaster. So on Friday, they tell me this is sent and the guy's gonna come pick it up Tuesday because Monday was Christmas. Tuesday comes, the guy's gonna pick it up Wednesday, Thursday. Wednesday comes, the guy's gonna pick it up Thursday, Friday. So on Thursday, I'm getting frustrated now because I already know that most of these trucks, I already know the schedule and I know most of these trucks are already gone. So they're not coming back. So I'm like, who are you getting to pick up this car? So all of a sudden on Thursday, I decide, you know what? I'm done with this shit. I'm gonna call dispatch myself and call some of my friends in the business and see who is picking this up, like which carrier is picking this up that keeps delaying picking it up by day. And long and behold, my luck is I find out they commissioned this to the dumbest auto broker that actually would never, this guy is the dumbest and most irresponsible, unknowledgeable guy in the world of shipping logistics. He doesn't know the width of the Senna. He has no idea that the Senna doesn't even have windows, so you can't get out of it. And he basically put it up on dispatch for $2,500 when a minimum of $4,000 was needed to basically go that route, period, with that kind of insurance. And that would be the low end of it. So this guy's basically trying to save $800 to $1,000, and that's why my car's not getting picked up. Now, all the trucks are already gone, mind you, and this idiot is telling me that he's gonna figure it out. So then a day later, I get a call from dealership that a truck finally showed up and they don't trust to put that truck, basically the car in the truck. And I go, why not? And he goes, well, the truck doesn't look the part, but he goes, the guy's 300 pounds, he doesn't fit through the window. I'm like, motherfucker, the Senna doesn't have windows. What are you talking about? Like, why are we having this conversation right now? A week later, this was last Friday conversation. So basically this whole ordeal ended up in a disaster. Car sitting there, there is no trucks coming here. And then the problem is 2 weeks later, that's the earliest truck's coming there. So I get finally a call from a truck that's like, I can pick it up, but the problem is I'm going the other direction, so it'll be 2 weeks before you get it. I'm like, well, that doesn't even make sense anyways. I'd rather let it sit there than trail in a truck back and forth 18 places while they take it in and out of truck. So I basically lost my shit because that was the dumbest move on the dealership part, as well as the dumbest move on the sales guy, the sales manager, and even dumber on that idiotic broker who was trying to do shipments. So I called all my guys, the guys that actually know how to do shipment, shout out to Eric, who really helped me out here figuring out how to actually get the right trailer and everything. And then I had to wait 2 full weeks for just basically till a truck actually somewhat became available after New Year. So now I've already lost 3 weeks of footage. You guys don't see a Senna, and I overpromised something on internet that I don't deliver, and I hate overpromising and not delivering. I think that's really a cheap thing to do. So anyways, long story short, in order to fix this problem, I get so frustrated that as soon as January 1st passes, January 2nd comes, I post on Facebook that I will pay $9,000 which is 3 times the ongoing rate for someone to go pick up that fucking car. Colorado's getting bad weather. It's not helping, like the fact that this place is in the mountains. And I mean, there's a lot of reasons why this was a disaster and that the original broker fucked this up. But I put a $9,000 bounty on the car that basically someone needs to go pick up this car. And this guy, everybody tags this guy named Don Glasgow, really nice guy. He owns a company called Leadfoot Transport, and basically they have the right trailer, and he's unfortunately booked for a week. He messages me privately and goes, look, I'll go pick it up with a separate trailer, 1-car trailer, it's perfect, it'll fit your car, I've done plenty of Sennas. I can go get it tomorrow and get it to you in 3 days. And so I said, hey, listen, I put a bounty that was 3 times the price, I will pay it, even if the dealer doesn't pay it. So in this case, he goes, gets it here 3 days later, case closed, car is here. Now, car is perfect, so shout out to to actually not lying about the car condition and the car being fantastic. We'll talk about why specifically I bought this car in the next video. But the big issue here, the big learning experience is, one, you need to know who's going to pick up your car. Secondly, don't ever rely on a dealer to do that for you. The main issue here was not just that a dealer tried to save $800 by giving it to some incompetent fuck. The issue here, the learning here for every dealer watching this, the learning here for every single person that's in business here, which is really important. If you're going to do business, make sure you understand the type of business you're doing. If you're doing business that's in the top tier 1%, we all know each other. You can't fuck a guy buying $1 million car because you're basically fucking everyone else buying $1 million car because we all know and talk about each other. So it's the biggest mistake ever. And if you don't know how to handle it, then basically be honest about it. Just list that, hey, I don't know how shipping logistics work. Let me stay on top of it. I think the follow-up was just a disaster because everybody went on vacation not giving a shit. But everybody was on top of their game when they needed the wire. Everybody disappeared once the wire hit. That's just a bad form of business, no matter who you are, what dealer you are, where you are. So, you know, they've sent me an apology letter, and to be fair, they did pay the $9,000 for the shipping, so eventually they didn't save their $800 on the shipping. They ended up paying 3 times the cost for shipping and not getting the best possible interaction where I'm going to buy 10, 15 cars there in the next year because I buy like so many cars a year, right? So that was a big mistake, that was a big mix-up. The sales staff understood where they went wrong. The management called me after. The argument was the damage was already done, in essence, to the transaction, right? However, I just want to be fair because I'm always fair in my conversations and reviews with people. It's not that the dealership did anything shady. It's that the dealership dropped the ball when it comes to follow through and understanding what they're doing in terms of the business they're getting, because it was the end of the year. Acceptable, not acceptable? I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Would love to know from you if you think I'm exaggerating or not. They did in the end pay the shipping, which was the right thing to do, and they did pay the rate I put out there, which was 3 times the average rate of what shipping should cost. So they did pay that, and they did send me a really nice box with a couple of shirts, a hat, a mug, and some of this other stuff as a thank you and as a sorry. But my argument is this: I buy a $300,000 Lamborghini from Palm Beach, I get a bunch of mugs, I get a bunch of hats, I get a bunch of shirts, I get the manager coming in thanking me for my business, I get a handshake, I get photos, I get all that stuff. That's fine, I don't require that. What I'm saying is, they understand the service element. I buy $1 million car, sight unseen, I don't even get a phone call unless something goes wrong. You gotta think that true in business. So this was my rant for today and why the Senna got here 3.5 weeks late, but it is finally here. So next video, we're gonna check it out in detail. You got a brief preview of it. We have a lot of modifications planned, and the car has some incredible stories. It's a very popular Senna. We're gonna talk about why in the next video. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you know when the next video drops. And of course, leave in the comments, am I exaggerating? Am I crazy? Or is this something that should be expected in the new world of how dealers work? We'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll catch you next time for Exotic Car Hacks. You know, everyone knows me as this car guy. I'm a big car collector. I love cars, and more importantly, they know me for making good decisions, gaining in and out of cars in order to maximize my return. But what if I told you that one of the ways I was able to buy all these cars has been by trading watches? But I'm not here to tell you about my other company, Watch Trading Academy. Instead, I'm here to tell you about a question I get asked at Watch Trading Academy a lot, which is, how do you sell watches confidently and, more importantly, in a safe manner online? Simply put, I use this company called Grailsy. It is a safe and very transparent way to sell a watch online. Not only do they handle the whole transaction from A to Z, but they make it safe for both the buyer and the seller. And because they really cater to real buyers and not just other watch traders, as a seller, you're always getting a great premium on a watch, especially when you're selling it. And as a buyer, you never know when you can find a great deal. So definitely check them out at grailz.com. They're an incredible company, and they've been the best place to safely buy and sell luxury watches.
Grailz. Buy and sell iconic timepieces.